And we welcome you into Hornet Football Weekly for our second episode here as we talk a lot about the Hornet football program. I'm your host, Jason Ross, and coming up today, we're going to look back at the North Dakota game. We'll preview Idaho State. We'll also have our Hornet Spotlight on women's basketball. We've got our player of the game, a lot to get to. But first, let's bring in the head coach, Marshall Spurbeck. Coach, I'm thinking about the schedule. This is our second show, but week 5 of the football season. Where's the time go?
I don't know, Jason. It's going fast. It seems like once you get done with fall camp, each week just flies by, and all of a sudden we're on the road again and going into the halfway point in the season.
And you guys work all season, and the season, all off season, I should say, and the season should be the fun part. It's almost a shame that it goes so fast.
You know, we try to remind our players that all the time. You know, we only get so many times to practice. Once you break fall camp, you know, you're really looking at 2 hard practices a week, and you know, it's about 22 practices on the season, and we're down to about 10 or 12 of those left, and we got to maximize each one of them and continue to get better.
I know in our next segment we'll go into North Dakota's game specifically, but can you get a rhythm now? With basically the buys late in the season, but just kind of the routine. Is everybody into a rhythm now?
I think so. You know, we cut practice back a little bit the other day, this last week, about the 3rd game. We cut it back, and then we'll kind of go for the next couple of weeks, and then we'll cut it back again about week 7 or 8. And we've been fortunate so far that we've been able to stay fairly healthy, and that's important as you plan your practices and as you go forward. And we've been fortunate on game day to get out of it fairly well at this point. So staying healthy and continuing to improve, and hopefully we can create that rhythm that you're talking about.
And then the other part of the rhythm is, okay, you have home games, but road games. Now 2 more on the road. You've already had some road trips. Just even that continuity of going away from home, because just your whole prep for game day, you guys used to that now too on the road?
Yeah, I think we're in a routine, and you know, it's certainly a lot better than last season where we were on the road for 5 of our first 6 games. This has been nice. You know, we had a chance to play in front of our home crowd for a couple weeks, and then we'll go away and we'll come back, and I think our schedule set up nicely for this year.
All right, well, we'll talk more about that schedule and certainly more about the last game, Saturday against North Dakota. We'll recap that when we come back here on Hornet Football Weekly.
Going to Sac State was really a rite of passage for the beginning of the rest of my life. I'm very happy that we brought one of the world's largest video game companies here to Sacramento.
I started Sleep Train after graduating Sac State in 1984. And it's really what built the foundation of who I am today.
I think that Sac State has made me into a leader. Most importantly, I think it's made me into a confident individual. I'm open to any opportunities. I'm Laura Gonzalez.
I'm Dale Carlson.
I'm Mark Otero, and I was made at Sac State.
All right, back here on Hornet Football Weekly, Jason Ross along with the head coach Marshall Spurbeck. And coach, as we look back at last week, tough one, Big Sky opener, battling North Dakota. One thing you had to be pleased, because we're here a week ago talking about Greg Harden, Marcus Hendrickson, very talented players, secondary, and the pressure you got on the quarterback. I know you guys had to be pleased with that element of the game.
I thought our defense had a good game plan coming in, and I think we really did a nice job of keeping their passing game in check, and there was the lowest amount of yards they've had all season, and I really credit our secondary for doing a nice job of matching up with them, and also our defensive line for really getting a lot of pressure. And one of Coach Parker's objectives going in was to really push them in the front of the pocket and really push the dashboard in, as he likes to call it, and make the quarterback get outside the pocket. And I thought we did a great job of that, and it forced them into doing some things that they didn't really, haven't shown at least in their game plan.
Yeah, and then they go to the running game. Jake Miller was more the speed back. You guys did a great job on him. As the game wore on, Mitch Sutton came in over 100 yards, bigger back. Seemed like he kind of wore you guys down a little bit.
Well, I think as we got later in the game, they were on the field a little bit longer, and I think they got settled in with their offensive line and some things they wanted to do. And I really feel like the turning point was at that point when we didn't get it on 4th and short, and they went on and scored that possession, and they kind of tried to keep the game in check as far as run the clock out and run the game out, and they did a good job with it.
Those are important plays, and those are tough plays for a head coach to call. At that point, they're going through a transition. It seems like the right move. Tell us what the thought process, what you guys are trying to get there.
Well, from my viewpoint, I'm thinking, we got a foot to go. I trust our offense that we're going to get a foot, and we challenged them to go get it, and it didn't work out. Conversely, I believe in our defense that if we get put in that situation, we're going to be able to respond. And unfortunately, on that day, it didn't work the way I thought it would. And if anybody needs to take blame, that's me. And in retrospect, hindsight, you look back and say probably wasn't the best call today because it didn't work, and we'll have to live with that. But I know we'll be better for it down the road.
Yeah, as a coach, it's easy for fans to look at it, make their decision, but I'm curious, the next time it comes up, does that change any decision? You've been a coach that goes for fourth downs a lot and have had plenty of success. Do you weigh the last one at all, or do you just move past that one?
You move past it. I mean, every scenario is a little bit different. A lot of it's just, offensively we had missed a couple opportunities in the red zone, so you're trying to reach a little bit and get yourself back into it. And every situation has different factors to it, and you just try to make the best educated decision that you can at that point.
All right, let's look back at some of the highlights, because you guys did have some really good moments in this game. We're going to start with the defense, Coach, where you had some pressure, certainly on Hendrickson. Here you guys were able to get to him. He's also quick, so you guys have to get to him right away when he gets that hike there and gets the ball, I should say.
Yeah, and one thing that we saw on film is that, if you pushed it at the pocket into his lap, that he'd panic a little bit and get outside and try to make plays on with his feet or make plays outside the pocket, and we wanted to try to disrupt that rhythm of his a little bit. And I thought our defensive line did a good job of really pushing it from the interior and making him a little jittery and make him move around the pocket.
All right, early on you guys offensively had a turnover, but you regroup next time you touch it because you're kind of expecting a shootout. Here's Saffron on a nice look to Carter. I don't know if this is busted coverage, but Carter seems to be a touchdown maker. He was wide open. Well,
they're in cover zero here. They matched up man, and we had what we call a little nod route where we kind of stuttered about 5 yards to get the defender to jump, and DeAndre did a nice job of setting it up and ran past him. Garrett throws a good ball, and it was a well-executed play.
All right, let's move then to the running game. Running from the beginning, you guys really had a good tempo going offensively. Here's a nice run by Sam McCowan. Just great blocking up front, too, for the game.
Sam played well, as he does every week, and he plays on all of our special teams as well. He's been a great contributor here for the last 4 years, and we're very fortunate right now that we have three good backs that can all deliver. And Ezekiel Graham and A.J. Ellis and Sam, and they've all played and they've all had good moments, and we hope that continues through the rest of the season.
I know Hornet fans may look at allowing 35 points, but North Dakota averages 50 and over 500 yards of offense, kept them well below their numbers. More footage here of your defense getting pressure, which I think is important in any game, and you guys were able to get to him a couple times.
Yeah, one thing we talk a lot about on defense is getting hits on the quarterback. It's not always the sack. It's that constant pressure that you're getting on him and making him move around and hitting him and letting him feel your presence as a defense every time he goes back to pass. And I think we've done a good job with that in all 4 games.
You said last week of the 4 teams, this was the most talented offense. You still feel that way?
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
I really do. And
they were good.
Yeah, I think they're going to be a good football team that wins 7 or 8 games down the road, and I think they're going to continue to build off what they have going. And it was a challenge, and I thought we stepped up to it. And like I said, I felt we kind of let it get away a little bit in the later part of the game. But heck, it's a 14-7 game, midway through the third quarter, and we had our opportunities. And we'll be better for it, like I said, down the road.
Last clip, you get Mason Magleby, who had been hurt, had some back issues. He's still been your holder. We see some reps for him in the game situation. Here's actually a great catch by T.J. Knowles. But what did you see from Mason on that last drive?
I thought Mason was very poised as he went into the game for his first time playing. He's been hurt a little bit in camp, and so he got an opportunity to run some live reps to go with the first offense. And I really thought he did a nice job of coming out and moving the team. We took us down 75 yards in about 7-8 plays to score. So that was nice to see it. I'd like to see him continue to build off that.
Depth is important at every position, certainly at the quarterback. So it's nice to know that you got 2 guys, though, if you ever need it, that you can go to.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah. All right. Well, you got 3 running backs. One of them is our Player of the Week, and we're going to talk about that next with Ezekiel Graham, our Player of the Week. That is coming up here on Hornet Football Weekly.
It's a fade pattern towards Reed. He caught it! He caught it! Sacramento State has shocked the world.
Well, it is that time for our Player of the Week segment. Welcome back in here to Hornet Football Weekly. Once again, we've got a crowded set here now. As I'm Jason Ross, along with the head coach Marshall Spurbeck, and our Player of the Week, Ezekiel Graham. Ezekiel, it's hard to catch you. I'm glad we got you here controlled in studio. Congratulations on your great performance against North Dakota.
Thank you.
So you landed at Sac State. I know you probably thought of a lot of different places to go. Why did you decide to become a Hornet?
Well, on my recruiting trip, they showed me a lot of love. I just felt at home. I didn't really want to leave California or leave too far from home. I have family in Southern California, so it gives my family a chance to see me play, and just felt like home.
Coach, I know you're happy. You had the secret weapon, the running backs coach, Aaron Ingram, recruiting him. He sealed the deal, didn't he?
He did. He did a good job, and Ezekiel and Coach Ingram formed a good relationship. I think that was another big part of him deciding on Sac State, and we're very fortunate to have him. Ezekiel did a great job of finishing up his academics in junior college, and took some classes this summer as well. And just we took the time and waited for him, and it worked out very well for us.
So tell us a little about yourself now. I know a couple years left in school. We hope you have some great years with the Hornets, but communications major, what do you see yourself maybe doing in the future?
Become a sports writer or even a journalist.
We might have him on set here permanently, Coach.
We might need him. Yeah.
And as far as running with the coach talked about the running backs, you have 3 different guys between you and Ellis and Sam. It's not really a competition. It seems like it's something that helps this team. What do you think about your overall running group that you guys have?
We're very diverse.
Mm-hmm.
We have a power back, we have speed back, we have all-around back, and we just have faith in each other.
Well, let's look at some of your footage. We got some stuff from North Dakota last week. If you could tell us about some of these runs. You had your first 100-yard game. You've been on the doorstep of getting that. Kind of, Ezekiel, you start between the tackles, but you're ready to go outside at any time, it looks like.
Yeah. I've had a problem with that in the past, thinking I can outrun everyone. But
Can he, Coach?
He can, and I think he's right though. He's one of the things he's learning how to do is to stay with the play and to keep the ball up inside at times instead of trying to run lateral, which a lot of times in high school and in junior college you can get away with it. And I think the next step for him is learning how to keep things north and south. And I think he's made a lot of progress so far and doing a good job.
But our next clip, I think Ezekiel will see kind of an example of that. But you do outrun guys here. It looks like on this one you kind of turn the corner and they can't catch you on this play.
Yeah, well, that one
might have even been a horse collar there at the end.
Yeah, it looked like it. We were trying to get it called. Yeah. I thought so too.
So when you're turning the corner, I mean, it's natural because you have been outrunning guys a lot. I mean, you thinking that you can break one at any time?
I feel that way, and I trust my team to put me on the right path to scoring. Mm-hmm. So I trust their blocks.
Speaking of the blocking, too, I think the offensive line, it's been amazing. They gave you holes, Ellis, McCowan, all you guys. How about the guys up front that are blocking for you?
They're awesome. They're awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have a very good communication. They tell me where they're going to block, and I trust them to be there. So I run right behind them.
Well, let's go for more of footage from you from this last week. Again, like we said, more of a 100-yard day for you, Ezekiel. This one's one of your longer runs, and at what point there are you thinking, I might be able to finish this off, and then nope, you're not going to take the contact and go out of bounds? That's actually a smart play there.
Yeah, I'm not a big guy, so I don't want to really take unnecessary hits. But here we stride on, giving punishment, not taking it. So I think in the future I can finish that run better than that.
You're all right with that decision right there, Coach?
We're like he said, that's something we want him to finish runs,
yeah.
And he stays in and takes on. He's a running back. He can dish it out just as much as receiving it, and we want him to inflict some of that power that he has onto some of these DBs at the end of runs, and he's doing a better job with that as well.
Now, as the season rolls along, you get 100 from him. The ground game really was effective last week, and all 3 backs, but also Ezekiel catching the passes out of the backfield. You see that increasing as just a kind of a diverse weapon for you.
As many ways as we can get him the ball, that's what we're trying to do. And in junior college, he proved to be an outstanding receiver. He had over 50 catches his sophomore year. So that's something that we want to try to do with him as the season goes on.
As the season rolls on, I will look back to one game specific, just a landmark win against Colorado as a player on the field, instrumental in helping the win. What was that like to beat Colorado at Colorado?
It was amazing. It was very uplifting. It helped me see that, this team, we stick together through thick and thin. We are a true family. So, yeah.
And those locker room moments after, we got a little bit of the image in there. It was pretty special celebration for you guys.
Yeah, it was pretty good. Everyone was happy.
Yeah.
It's good to see your family actually happy after a win.
And Coach, you like preaching that kind of family. I mean, you guys are around each other almost more than your families.
Yeah, and the kids have kind of taken that on, and when you have 42 new players coming into your program, I think one of the things our older guys have done is really welcome in the new players and make them feel a part of Sac State football, and they have created a family bond amongst themselves.
Well, Ezekiel, congratulations on your success. Good luck this week against Idaho State, and keep running wild.
Thank you.
All right, that's Ezekiel Graham. We will break, come back. Coach and I will look at more coming up at Idaho State. That is straight ahead here on Hornet Football Weekly. All right, back here on Hornet Football Weekly, as once again our thanks to Ezekiel Graham. Now let's look ahead to the next game. That's Idaho State coming in here, Coach, and it's or you guys go to Idaho State, I should say, and 2 straight road games. Idaho State's played 3 games so far. They've played up twice, played down once. They're 1-2. They pass the ball a ton. I'm looking at 55+ passing attempts. It's going to be another air attack this week.
Well, that's what they've done the last season. They threw the ball around a lot. They have the same quarterback coming back, the Rumble, the wide receiver that was one of the tops in the country last year. They do a nice job of throwing it around, and we're going to have to get ourselves prepared for that, and we'll show up ready to go.
When they play a game like last week, the big paycheck, they play Nebraska, lose 73-7. How much value can you get out of a game film like that when they're just dominated?
It's tough. I mean, Nebraska's athletes are just so much, far superior than what we see at our level. And for them to go up there and to go in that environment, that's obviously a very tough task for them. And, I'm sure they'll be looking forward to coming back in and playing an FCS team.
Coach Kramer's a good coach. He's been in this league bounced around a couple different teams now at Idaho State. Year 2, it takes a while to get it your way. I mean, how is he settling in there, you think?
Well, just watching the tape on them, I've already noticed a difference in their athleticism as a team. I think he's done a nice job of bringing in some players that have some speed, and on defense they move around a lot and they challenge you with that speed. And I think they're getting better as they're going through it. And in his time, I think eventually they're going to be a very good program in our conference.
All right, we've got some clips from what they've done so far this year. As we mentioned, they've played Air Force, they've played Nebraska. Let's look at some of their defensive work so far this season. This is against Air Force, tough team, but they read that option play pretty well.
Mm-hmm. And like I said, they're going to be faster on defense than they have been, and they give you multiple looks up front. They run a 50 defense with a lot of variations, and they're going to try to confuse you with some of their different schemes. So we're going to have to be smart in how we approach things.
All right, we know they throw a lot. We've already talked about that, but here's the next clip from them offensively. Kind of an option read, something we'll see Garrett Saffron do quite a bit. Since you go against stuff like this, does that help your defense?
Yeah, it does. And this is something they do to keep you honest. They're going to throw, and then they're going to sneak this play in on you once in a while, and we got to be prepared for it. But we've seen enough of it. I think we should be able to keep that in check.
Well, let's look at what their strength is. We're talking about throwing, so we've got more clips of them with a passing attack. This is against Air Force and Yost, and really any quarterback, you give some time, gets out of the pocket. But he's got Rumble, he's got Graves, he's got several different receivers that can hurt you.
He does, and when you throw the ball that much, they're getting better at it each day, and all the different scenarios that they see on defense and all the situations that arise, they're good at handling it because they do it so often.
All right, one more of the passing attack that Idaho State that you're going to see a lot this week. Again, 50+ passes per game. Here's more success. But if we look back at last year's game, Coach, I think you guys had 10 sacks against them. Zach Nash breaks the record that day. You've been able to get to their quarterback, I think, traditionally when you've played them.
Yeah, last year we did. And, last year we showed up and had a good day. Zach Nash, obviously a career day for him, broke the school record. And but we don't have Zach Nash, and they have a different team. We have a different team. So you kind of have to throw it out the window and start over and go into this game with the right approach and the right game plan, and hopefully you can have the same result.
How about the unique stadium? A little bit different playing there at Idaho State. You've been there before, but not all your players have. Just a little bit of a different feel come Saturday.
It is. By the time warm-ups is done, you kind of get a feel for it. But initially going in there, you got to get adjusted a little bit to playing inside and the way it's kind of set up there.
All right, we're going to have another segment with the coach coming up. But first, we've got our Hornet Sports Spotlight. We'll visit with Jamie Craighead, the women's basketball coach. That's coming up here on Hornet Football Weekly. Women's hoops, it's almost here. Time to focus in our Hornet Sports Spotlight with Jamie Craighead, the head coach of the women's basketball program. Once again, I'm Jason Ross. Coach, welcome to the set. Thank you for coming by.
Thanks for having me.
4th year. It's going quickly, isn't it?
It has. The group that's going to graduate was here with me when I was a freshman. Didn't quite recruit them as their head coach, but they stuck around with me. So it's crazy. It's gone by fast.
Is this the best setup, though, that you've had? I see 4 returning starters, a bunch of returning players from a good team a year ago. That usually makes coaches happy.
Yeah, I mean, in the backcourt, has a year under their belt. We'll start a sophomore and a junior, a senior and senior, and hopefully we've got a spot open with Emily Christensen leaving, but we've got a lot of depth, a lot of kids ready to go. Really excited about this year.
We're going to show some footage of what we'll call the run. That's what you guys called it, the start of the great run that you guys had, 5 straight wins, including a game winner. What did that do for the team last year, and how does that carry into this year?
I think our kids know that they belong now. It really was crucial. We got a road win at Montana State. Fantasia Hilliard hits a buzzer beater, and our kids just carried over. We really had our backs against the wall, had to win 4 straight to get into the conference tournament, beat the only team that was undefeated in conference except for us, Idaho State, and then ran into them in the postseason tournament. Got our first postseason win against Eastern in the first round. It was huge. I think our kids already, in working with them for a few weeks, they're ready to go. We're in a different place than we were a year ago.
Practice starts Sunday. Conference or league play will be coming up. Non-league play, I mean, the season will be here quickly, but having that experience, a point guard like you mentioned, Hilliard in the program, Kylie Coons coming back, all the different names, how much does that help you just jumpstart right into the season?
I think they're ready. We go on the road a lot in the preseason, 3 home games, 6 on the road before conference. I'm hoping that will build some toughness in our team, win some road games so that we're ready to go for conference. But having a returning point guard that was, the Big Sky Freshman of the Year, and a couple other players with maturity and the year under their belt, we're really excited. Kylie, she wants a championship, and we're real excited about that. We think that we're in a position to compete for a championship this year.
Now, for those that haven't seen the women's basketball team play, there's a tempo. You want 90 shots per game. How do you guys try to achieve that as a goal, just to get that point total up?
We want to take the shot clock and make it a 4-second game.
Destroy it.
If we shoot it in 4 seconds, I'm really happy. I tell them if they still have the ball with 12 seconds, I'm not happy. And then we want to get the team to turn the ball over in terms of who we're playing. So we're looking for 30 turnovers or more. We led the conference with 12 steals. We're looking for 15 this year. 15 steals a game would lead the nation in steals, and that's our goal. And then we shoot the ball quick and often and as much as possible.
I'm guessing the team has to be in tremendous shape. I mean, they have to be getting up and down the floor. How are they as the season gets ready, or practice gets ready to start Sunday?
They look great. Most of them stayed this summer and worked out with our strength coach. He did a tremendous job. It was his first year with our kids this summer. They're ready to go. We don't train like a typical basketball team. We're on the track at 6 in the morning.
Wow.
Our kids, really, it's a toughness as well. They know that no matter who we're playing, we can compete with them in terms of our physical conditioning, and it helps us get up and down.
How important for you is that they all buy in? I mean, getting up, there's a lot of sacrifices there.
There is, and it's not a conventional way to play. There's a lot of kids that we recruit and tell them you can play this way, but for the most part, I think with 4-year players in the program and kids that are really bought in, I've got 3 leaders that are all about it and believe that because we play this way, they're successful. Our kids, they give us everything they have.
And then league play, when it gets around, who's the main competition this year, would you say, for the Hornets?
Idaho State returns 4 starters. They won the conference last year and made the NCAA tournament. They should be tough. Montana didn't lose anyone, so they gained a little bit of depth as well as some maturity. And I hope we're right there. I think that we should be, and I expect that our kids have those same expectations.
I would think you got to be excited with the season almost here. That sounds like the players are ready. Should be a good time for Hornet women's basketball.
Yeah, I'm supposed to be recruiting this weekend. I will go on Saturday, and then I'll be back for practice on Sunday. We're really excited to get it going. So are our kids. They're ready to be working out as a group, a team, and practice every day so we can get this season going.
Well, thanks for stopping by, and best of luck this season.
Thank you very much.
All right, that's Jamie Craighead, head coach of the women's basketball program. We'll come back, wrap things up with Marshall Spurbeck. That's next. All right, it's time to wrap things up here for a second edition of Hornet Football Weekly. Again, thanks to Ezekiel Graham and to Jamie Craighead back here with the coach Marshall Spurbeck. So, Coach, it's another road journey. You guys are used to it, but I got to let Hornet fans know the road trip and your routine is pretty cool, getting on these charter flights. Kind of take us through the road routine for the Hornets.
Well, first of all, we've been very fortunate that we are able to charter, and we've been able to bring along a lot of our fans, our parents. We usually have anywhere from 30 to 40 people traveling with the team, and they get to experience kind of our routine of how we go from the airport and how we bus to the airport, how we get on the planes, how we where we eat our meals, where we're staying, and they end up going to the game with us, and so they get to be a part of the whole game day routine. So I think they've enjoyed it, and it's been fun for our players too to have some of the support staff there with them.
And I got to tell you, being with you guys, wins are great. Every coach will take it, but when it's the road and it's that small knit group, it's a nice celebration. When like the Colorado game was a great celebration of just Hornet fans.
It is, and it's nice to have them to be able to share it with. And like I said, a lot of times the parents are there when they're there with their kids, and it's a special moment I'm sure they'll remember for a long time.
So as you look at Idaho State, obviously every week presents itself a challenge, but this is a time really for you guys to bounce back, a little measuring stick on your team, that character they're going to show this week.
Yeah, we do. We need to bounce back and get back on track here to. Starting off Big Sky play 0-1. Now we got a chance to balance it up and get to even here at 1-1, and we've got to take advantage of the opportunity.
All right, so a couple of road games ahead, but first Idaho State, Coach, good luck, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
All right, and if anybody wants more information too, by the way, on the travel program, go to hornetsports.com. Get on those charters. It's a lot of fun, and you certainly will enjoy it. So good luck to the Hornets this week against Idaho State. Again, thanks to Marshall Spurbeck. I'm Jason Ross. Join us next week for another edition of Hornet Football Weekly.